It doesn't bother me.
It's all right. I'll have to mentally prepare.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. It's not that bad.
Also, I love having the microchip in me. That's what's happening right now.
I haven't seen any benefits from that. I thought I'd be able to like pick up the internet in my fillings or something.
Yeah, I thought I'd be able to reprogram birds when I pass. It's just not working.
It's butterflies, actually.
Oh yeah, maybe it's the second shot. Maybe it's the second shot. We get the full microchip effect.
Yeah.
Honeys, we're home.
Hello, and welcome to Sinclairity, a dinosaur's tale. Today we are doing episode 33 of the podcast, and I am your host. We're gonna need another Timmy, along with my co-host.
Hey, I'm Ben. Hand up me.
Ben, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good today. I woke up feeling like shit for whatever reason. I had I felt like I was gonna have an ear infection all day, but it went away pretty quick. But yeah, I've been doing better since then. I went and got an energy drink and some Taco Bell. So how are you doing, Timmy?
As long as you can eat, that's all that matters. It's the worst when you can't move your mouth and your jaw.
Yeah. No, it was just my ear was clogged for some reason. I don't really know what it was, but it's fine.
Yeah,
I can hear.
I'm doing fine. It's almost my birthday when we're recording this, and the day after I get my vaccine shot. So
cool.
That's pretty cool.
Your first one, right?
Yeah.
I'm getting my second one on 420 AO. So
mine's 429. So
okay, cool. Yeah. So today we are joined in the virtual studio. We have Aurelea River. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Awesome. Aurelea fucks with puppets. I mean, that's the thing. You have a puppeteering history, which I know Aurelia's boyfriend, Ricky, and I've known him since I met him at Fest, which is where me and Tim hang out every year when we can. And he was just a lovely boy, so I followed him to New Orleans. Just took me a few years. But yeah, I got super excited when Ricky told me that you did like puppets. I was like, holy shit. Then he mentioned going to like a puppet convention in New Orleans, and I got even more excited because I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, that's right. That's the New Orleans Giant Puppet Festival, which normally happens every April. But of course, because of COVID, it hasn't, last year and this year there might be some kind of virtual thing, but yeah, it didn't happen because of COVID. But before that, I think it was like 8 or 9 years, something like that.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I can't wait till it happens again because I want to I want to go. It sounds really exciting.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's it's kind of centered around the Mudlar Public Theater, which is run by Pandora Gastelum. Which is a venue, but then that's also, I've been kind of involved with a puppet company there for the past 8 years or so.
Oh, that's awesome. So how did you get into puppets?
It was through that situation. So it was, there was an open call. I've been to a couple of Mudlark shows and really, really enjoyed them. And then there was an open call where it was a class where we would all make our own puppets. And then we would all perform with them in this show called The Snow Queen, which is based on a Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale. It's also what Frozen is very loosely based on.
I was like, I'm pretty sure that's basically what Frozen got its thing from.
Yeah. It's like a Danish fairy tale. Like that's...
Sounds delicious.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, Danish. Okay, I thought you meant like the pastry.
No, I'm doing my civil duty in the civilian sector.
Handing out Danishes. That's really cool. I want to make a puppet and perform it. That sounds really fun.
It was really cool. So we each, picked a character, made our own puppets, and then the more experienced puppeteers were the ones who puppeted the main characters. But we all got to make things. So I made the robber girl, who's this kind of like creepy ogre. I still have her, and she's really scary looking. She has like tusks, and And then I was really involved in it. And actually, how I got involved in it, I'm okay at being really good at building them.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've been making dolls and doing kind of crafty stuff forever. And so that was how I got involved, because I got really involved in doing all the builds. There's always a lot of stuff you have to do for a puppet show. And then, I was in the Mudlark company kind of off and on, depending on what job I have to do and how much that interferes with rehearsals and stuff. So now I'm kind of Mudlark auxiliary. I'll still help make a couple costumes or props here and there, even if I'm not in the show.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was in the company like hardcore and in a whole bunch of shows for like 3 or 4 years there.
That's super cool. How, like, as like having that experience hands-on with puppets, how does that color your experience when watching a show like Dinosaurs, which is just like the high-end version of like, there's a lot of puppetry, but even beyond that in a weird way, because they're also wearing costumes and motorizing everything. I don't know.
Yeah, because so at the Mudlark, what we would mostly do is Czechoslovakian style puppets, which is when it looks more like a doll and it's just controlled by rods and their faces don't move.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can see the puppeteer. Like you can see that kind of puppeting in Being John Malkovich, where he's like on stage. And so I have more experience with that. Of course, I've watched Sesame Street like anybody. But yeah, when I'm watching Dinosaurs, I really think about where the puppeteers are hiding. Or like anything where you can't see the puppeteer, like, where are they? Where are they? Because I've done just a tiny bit. I was involved in this project, which I actually had to sign an NDA for all the like story aspect, but I think it's safe to say I did actually get to use like a Muppet style puppet, even though it wasn't a Muppet.
Mm-hmm.
And the hardest part of doing that was hiding myself.
Yeah.
Like I remember wondering, like so many puppeteers have dance backgrounds or circus arts backgrounds, and that's because they have to contort themselves into these little spots so that you like see a shoulder, the top of your head, or anything. It's really physically difficult.
I thought about that because I'm interested in it, but I'm also like 6'5" and like very big as a person. Like I don't even know how I'd pull it off.
And when we were talking, I don't know how far you got into the Bill Beretta episode, but he talks about how the stage has like, it's like 4 feet off the ground. And so they're in like a trench. So like, you got to imagine like Kevin Clash is probably a huge dude. So it's not like he's like 4 feet tall,
he's built like a linebacker.
Yeah. So he was like underneath the baby then, right? Because he's the baby puppeteer. Yeah, see, I've never had a situation where I had like a custom design set I could get underneath.
Exactly.
So I think that would help. But it is hard. Holding your arm up above your head for that long is kind of hard.
I thought about that too. It seemed like a cruel punishment in a way. I was just like, damn, like really just I was watching just like different scenes with like characters that Bill Beretta has been, like Ralph the Dog or like Dog Lion and whatever. It's Dog Lion, right? Not Lion Dog, Dog Lion. Just like having your hand above your head that long, holding a big like head. It just seems like a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. It's like you have to take breaks because your shoulder joint hurts. Stuff like that. Like it's one of those things that's more physical than people think it is.
Yeah, because I would say like maybe it's on a TV show could be a little bit easier because there's scenes and you can stop for a minute, but definitely like live performances would probably be like being it's similar to like people would think of like a NASCAR driver as not being that athletic, but like they lose like 10 pounds during a race from how much they're in there sweating. Like it's crazy.
Oh yeah. It's like Bill in the suit.
Yeah, Bill in the Earl suit. He would like just sit there all day sweating to death.
Like risking his life.
Yeah.
That just seems crazy. I remember hearing an interview with Doug Jones, who does all that motion capture and especially for Guillermo del Toro in The Shape of Water when he's like the fish man, like the foxy fish man.
Yeah, the sexy fish man.
Yeah, there's a dance sequence, and initially they brought in a professional dancer who like knew that kind of dance, but when he put on the suit, he fainted.
Wow.
In the dance sequence. And so Doug Jones, who just like has a weird tolerance for that kind of thing, had to get back in there and do the dance because he could do it without fainting.
That's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, I think Bill only fainted like once or something like that.
No, there was a series of like he talks about like the head was like crushing like one of his arteries or something.
His
like
carotid artery
Yeah.
would put him to sleep if he
So
turned his
they
head.
had him test turning it different ways and seeing which thing knocked him out. And I was like, I wouldn't even want to do that test. Like that sounds scary. Like, but he's like, all right, I'm gonna turn left now. Then just passes out.
I guess you'd be cushioned by the big squishy suit, though, right? Like if you fell totally padded all over your body.
Yeah, he had a seat in it too, so he would fall asleep often in the costumes because he could just sit down. Earl was the only one that had the seat built in because Earl had the biggest junk in his trunk, I guess. So they really worked that out.
But he also had like a fully functional computer like on top of his head.
Yeah, that weighed like 40 pounds. That's such a crazy way to do a show.
Yeah.
And it's a saving grace because like this week we're going to be doing season 2 episode 22 Slave to Fashion, which was released March 20th 1992. And this episode particularly, there's a lot of it where I'm just like, this could be any sitcom except for the fact that there's shit that they can do with puppets that you just couldn't, like they couldn't have Tim Curry as a sweater around somebody's neck. Like that couldn't exist in any other sitcom. So even though some of the writing I felt was a little bit like didn't really fit with the rest of the series that well, it's still like the puppetry really like brings it home at the end of the day and makes it a cool experience. And that's what's fun about this show.
Yeah.
Like technically speaking, this episode was cool. But as far
Yeah,
as
the way-
a sitcom was, not so much.
Yeah, it's mostly just the way the coat works. And I actually talked to several friends, and a lot of people remember this episode.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, like I was just talking to a friend of mine, and I remember this one. This is why I picked this one, because it was the one I remembered the most vividly from the original run. Because I hadn't seen Dinosaurs since it went off the air until, until like Ricky was talking about your podcast, and we watched a few episodes. This is the one I remembered the most, and it's all because of Charlene's coat and the way that puppeteering works.
And it's the power of Tim Curry as well. Just his voice in anything just lingers. Like, as a kid, watching Ferngully with him being the pollution in that movie. That's just a thing where I'll always remember because it was scary. That movie, that part was so. It's so funny. I was thinking about it now, and I was like, I remember back to being a kid, I did find that terrifying. Tim Curry as the pollution was too scary.
It's scary. I mean, he has like a whole association with the Muppets, though, doesn't he? Because he was in like Muppet Treasure Island, and I want to say something else too. Like I think he has like a whole involvement with him.
He was probably on Muppets Tonight, I assume.
Yeah,
probably.
It fits his comedy style. This is definitely something I see Tim Curry heavily associating with. It seems fun for him. It's weird to me, like every time I hear his voice though, I'm just like, imagine talking like that all the time. Like it seems like it'd be an affectation you did intentionally, but that's just how he talks all the time.
It must be hard to get it in and out of character, yeah.
It's just like this character was perfectly like tailored, no pun intended, tailored to him, like him being this jacket.
Yeah. But he definitely brings a lot of the personality to that jacket for sure.
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize it was him at first, and I was like, this jacket sounds like Frankenfurter. And then the credits popped up, and it was like, oh god, it is Tim Curry. That's amazing.
Yeah, if it weren't for the fact that my sister and Tim had both already told me Tim Curry was going to be in the show, I probably would have been like, oh, this thing's doing a Tim Curry voice. That's what my head would have said. I was like, oh, it's kind of like, sounds like the butler from Clue. Like that would have been where my head went. But since I already knew, but yeah, we'll get into this episode real quick. It was written by Dava Savell, who has so far written Charlene's Tale and The Golden Child and The Last Temptation of Ethel. The last of those three probably being my favorite out of those episodes she's written.
Yeah, like most of those episodes are pretty good, but this one kind of fell flat.
It wasn't as good, but we'll get into it. There were parts that were still great, but and it was directed by Tom Truvick, who's directed most of the episodes so far in our run.
Yeah.
And the quick summary before we go scene by scene is Feeling like a social outcast at school, Charlene begs her father for money to buy an expensive fur coat that none of the other girls have, and her grandmother ends up giving it to her. The coat indeed makes Charlene the envy of her friends, but unlike other status symbols, it talks and begins to make demands that cause Charlene to become alienated from her family and friends, especially her best friend. I like to add, especially her best friend that's never come up before.
Yeah, like we've heard other like friend names. But
I think she may have said Mindy in the episode, the food episode where the food attacks, did the Halloween one. I feel like
she was on the phone with Mindy.
Yeah, I think she said something about like she was talking to Mindy about Cindy, and then like Wendy, like it was a whole joke about all the names rhyming type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is essentially Mindy's introduction to the show, and this is my first watch through, so as far as I know, she might not come back. But I would hope they put all this work into it. Might as well. I mean, it's just Caroline from the episode where Robbie has a crush on the other girl, but
exactly. Except they just made like where Caroline was like a darker green. This is like a really light mint kind of green color.
Yeah, I think the other times we've seen this puppet are the baby swap episode where it was like the magician's assistant, and then also the Robbie Sinclair Superdome episode where he builds the dome. It's like a nerdy girl at the science fair.
Oh yeah, with her dog in heaven or in the atmosphere. Yeah.
This layer is mucus.
So do you think that they made a whole new suit, or they just sun bleached the other one? Because that's what it looks like.
I don't know. From a practical standpoint, I would assume they just painted it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I bet they just gave her like an airbrush,
Mm-hmm. Or it could have naturally faded from whenever they first used it too. Like, but yeah, I always wonder about that. Especially, we'll get into it later with like the Ralph Needlenose suit. It's a female just by changing the accessories on it. Which is all you need to do. It's a social construct. Don't worry about it.
And like we were saying before, Tim Curry plays the coat as the voice of the coat, and then we also got Julia Louis-Dreyfus is Heather Worthington, which is
cool. That's when I only knew because I looked it on IMDb. I did not pick it up. That's so cool.
So that's almost most of the Seinfeld cast.
That's a good half of the Seinfeld cast have been on the show now. I don't think they probably never get Jerry. That's probably
they're not gonna get Jerry.
But and then we have Jessica Lundy as Mindy, and this is me and Tim were talking about this before. Did you ever see the movie The Stupids? Exactly. Nobody's ever seen this movie, and then I brought it up to Tim, and I was just referring to it, and Tim's like, "Why do you think I've not seen that?" And Tim's like, "I love that movie." I was like, "Oh, well, you're the only person I've ever." But it was this really weird Tom Arnold movie about puns. That's almost the entire movie.
It was a Tom Arnold vehicle. It was like his baby.
Yeah, but that's the only thing I know this actor from. Jessica Lundy was the wife Joan Stupid from the movie The Stupids.
Joan Stupid.
Yeah, great name.
It's a great movie. It probably doesn't hold up very well anymore.
I'm sure it doesn't. It probably did. Well, we were also like 10. But another trivia point: it says 5 scenes of this were removed from syndication.
What?
Which I don't. For one, I never know whether that means worse. Maybe we aren't even seeing those scenes as far as I'm aware. I don't know if those made it to the Disney Plus run or to like the DVD run. Or like what I don't know what they would remove from this episode that we are seeing, because none of it's really like offensive, like over the top.
Yeah.
No, it seems all pretty par for the course, I thought.
Yeah, and 5 seems like a lot of a episode. That's a big chunk. Like I don't know how it would have fit on TV, but I don't know. I need to find out. Like I need to find somebody who taped all the episodes off TV so I can compare it to the syndication. Like
when it aired live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
would be crazy.
When I was 1 year old is essentially when I need tapes from. But we did have tapes in my house of recorded episodes because I'm the youngest of 4 and my older siblings watch the show all the time.
Yeah, we watched this in my family. And so I was born in 1980, so I was exactly the same age as Shane when this show was originally on the air. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I was
the age of the baby.
Yeah, that's usually I think we were kind of waiting for it, but We usually do like to ask our guests, like, what was their experience with the show? Like, did you watch it when you were a kid or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my family watched it. It's funny, I was just kind of thinking my family did not like normal sitcoms, but if there was some kind of gimmick, then they were about it, which is really, maybe I had kind of an unconventional upbringing, and so maybe that's why, like, whatever the family ties or whatever, where they're in this like really fancy house, was just not resonant.
Yeah.
The only sitcoms we watched were The Simpsons and Dinosaurs.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, same in my household. Is The Simpsons was a big Sunday tradition at my dad's house. Like when we went to my dad's on the weekend, and that was like what we were super excited for. And then once like Malcolm in the Middle came on, that was another one that we watched together because that was just great. But yeah, Simpsons was just huge in my house, and
Yeah,
pretty much
mine
the only
too.
show that mattered. I don't. Tim, was your family into The Simpsons, or is that just a you thing out of your family?
It's me. I like would watch it, and I think my mom would get mad that I watched it.
Yeah, because Tim's
it was bad.
That's a big thing with Sinclairity with me, Tim, and our producer Zach, is we're all very into The Simpsons, so that definitely colors our appreciation of this show as well. Because we have an episode where we interview Tim Doyle, and he talks about like how envious all the writers on Dinosaurs were of The Simpsons at the time. They wanted to do it.
Yeah, they would get away because of what they could get away with, because it was a cartoon. So they could get away with a lot of the jokes, and they were like friends with all the writers who went there, who worked at The Simpsons.
Yeah.
So, and that's why they had a little joke in one of the Simpsons episodes about the dinosaurs. It was like a little jab at them. It was really funny. But yeah,
that's cool that you watched it as it aired, though. That's really neat. And then you said you didn't watch it again until like pretty much like recently, or like when it was on Hulu, or
I didn't even watch it when it was on Hulu. I didn't have Hulu, or I didn't know. Like, it really was like I had these memories of it. and then like we watched some episodes like after you guys started doing this. And I could have seen like a Stray episode at some point between then and now, but I haven't like made an effort. I think, wasn't it kind of hard to get for a while?
Yeah,
it was on Netflix like 8 years ago or 9 years ago, and then they took it off, and then 2 years ago it was on Hulu, and then they took it off. And then just recently, as of the beginning of this year, they put it on Disney Plus. So
yeah.
Okay, and it's on Amazon Prime, but you have to pay for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I when we started the podcast, I just bought the DVDs off Amazon because I was like, I might as well have them. I also pirated the episodes. Like I was like, but I feel like wrong not owning it if I'm gonna like do a review show about it. So I was like, I'm gonna buy the DVDs.
For the longest time, we would just have to send people Google Drive links to watch the episode.
Yeah, it's really funny because it was kind of a joke in the earlier episodes of our podcast. Was like, this is awesome. We're doing a podcast about a show that nobody can get a hold of, like without putting money down. You can't watch it. But now it's on Disney Plus. It's crazy.
So now you can't just say anything happened in an episode anymore. It seems like you have a lot of power beforehand.
Exactly. We could have made up entire episodes.
Yeah, we could have just
we could have just done the
wrong things.
Yeah, we could have just done the whole plot of a Full House episode and just like with the names replaced, and nobody would have done.
And then Uncle Roy comes in the room
and does his Bullwinkle impression. But like, now we have to hold true to the content, I guess.
Always true to the content, because we do it for the content.
Tim does it all for the nookie. But so yeah, let's get into this episode. Let's get into Slave to Fashion.
Yeah,
Tim, if you want to introduce us to it.
So we open with Baby and Fran, and Baby wants the ball of yarn, and because Fran is knitting Charlene a sweater, so I guess that's where Charlene gets all her really cool sweaters. Is that what we're supposed to believe?
I don't know, because it doesn't come back up later in the. I thought this was going to tie into like Charlene being ungrateful later. Is that her mom was literally trying to make her a sweater this whole time?
Yeah, but
I guess Baby does ruin it, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, she couldn't make the sweater.
Yeah, because Baby decides he wants the ball of yarn until she like gives it to him, and he's like, never mind.
Yeah, and then I saw here in the notes, Ben, you put as a trivia point, but when Fran reaches down to take the ball of yarn from baby, she puts her hands on it, but in the next shot she's not touching it, and then the ball jumps from the floor to her hand. I didn't even notice that.
It was just a continuity thing, like, between shots that I noticed.
That's funny.
Mhm.
But yeah, so baby wants the ball of yarn and he's complaining and whining about it, and he's just like, I want it. So she gives it to him, and then he's like, I don't want it. And it's just like baby shit.
She kind of throws it at his head a little bit too. And during the scene, she's getting to the point of that Earl has been at with this baby since day one, which is like, never mind, I don't like this kid anymore.
But it's okay because he likes the pain anyway. So
That's true. That's a baby trait. But this is when Charlene and Mindy get home from school, and in my notes I was just like, who the fuck is Mindy? Like, she's like they just like shove these. It's like the way they shoved Spike into the show too. They just kind of like, suddenly we're supposed to think this person's always been there, or this dinosaur has always been there, but they have not. They've always
been friends.
Mm-hmm.
This is funny that now that you think about it, we were watching the Falcon and Winter Soldier last night, and
what's that?
It's a Marvel TV
okay.
show series.
Okay.
And Issa like made a joke because they brought in this character who was probably in one of the movies that you totally forgot about, but they were like, hey, it's Sharon, and you're like, who the fuck is Sharon? And then when she comes into the scene, she's like, oh guys, I can't go back to the United States. I stole Captain America's shield. And you're like, oh, that's what you did, because we don't remember you.
Wow, that exposition writing is great.
Yeah. Because I mean, Marvel, the cinematic universe is notorious for that, where it's just like, you either should know who the character is already because you like read the comics or you watched every movie, or they just go ahead and just explain it to you
like right away, point blank. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, but Mindy and Charlene just had a bad day at school for being social outcasts, and they wanted to be more like the Heathers, or I guess just one Heather, but it's clearly a reference to like the Heathers.
Oh, I didn't even get that. God, I'm in trouble with the 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
They're coming for you.
I have wondered whether, like, because I didn't exist before the movie The Heathers, so I don't know if that was already a word just used for preppy ladies or whatever in school, or if that originated with that movie. But it could be one or the other, as far as I'm aware. I don't know.
No, it's from that movie. Like, that was one of those movies, kind of like Juno, that sort of invented all this slang. I mean, some of it was like Valley Girl slang that existed already, but I'm pretty sure that it does originate with that movie.
Yeah, it's just adults writing stuff into teenagers' brains. Like, this is how teens talk now. And then it becomes how teens talk as a result, because now it's real. But
there were a million girls named Heather in the 80s and 90s too.
Yeah,
that was part of it. It was kind of like a fancy name still.
That's true. I knew so many Heathers. I have not met a little kid named Heather like yet. Like, it's all just people our age, like in our group. Like, I don't know any young Heathers anymore. I guess I don't meet that many little kids, so that's true either.
You know what? I used to work in a daycare and nobody was named Heather. I never met a Heather under the age of like 25.
No new Heathers. And
I know at least two Heathers, but they're both in their 30s. So
that name's done.
Yeah.
But so they wanted to be more like the Heathers, and they wanted to sit at their table. And like Charlene even says that she'd trade her mother for this luxury, even though they had just discussed how vain and like egotistical and they don't care about people, but that's still what they want in life. Yeah.
But they're only like the only way to deal with their sadness is just to engorge themselves on food.
Same.
And make their thighs explode, as Charlene said.
Which, like, I noted that they get out potato salad and tartar sauce and chocolate sauce and a cheese log, among other things. So I don't know exactly. This seems like the thing you do in the lunchroom as a kid, where you're trying to dare somebody to eat something, where you just mix all the worst things together. Because I'm very confused about what they're getting out of this meal, because it seems terrible, honestly. All separate parts are fine.
It's just, yeah, this is the part where like Fran is just being super fucking sarcastic, and it's really funny. She's because there's another scene in there's another scene of like we'll probably get to it, but when Earl's being sarcastic, but he has to say it, he's like, I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, where we've already seen in this episode that Fran knows what sarcasm is.
Yeah,
it's Jessica Walters. I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, did we record an episode
since Jessica Walter died?
Yeah.
No, this is the first rest in peace Fran episode. Rest in peace Jessica Walter. It's sad.
Yeah, we should have put that at the top, but yeah.
I mean, we put it in the description for the last episode too, and we'll probably still include it. But yeah, I mean, great voice actress, great actress.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she was amazing. I didn't know that was her, and then like I saw it in the credits. I know she had a really long career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
she was like 81, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
like 81. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm like at the point where I'm probably going to rewatch Arrested Development soon. It's been a little while.
That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to do, but I just don't have time.
My favorite role of hers is Mallory, though, because in Arrested Development, she's not actively killing people.
Yeah.
Mallory is like a sociopath, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, that's great. She's great at that.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen Archer, too. But
she's so good.
Mm-hmm. But what I like about this scene, though, for one, it's like Fran does that thing again where she seems to like fat shame Charlene, which annoys me. That kind of comes up later too in the episode where the sweater ends up blaming her for Charlene's self-esteem issues, which honestly there is a little bit of contribution there. But they are interrupted because Fran suggests that eating too much won't make them feel any better. But Charlene's like, "Oh yeah, we should turn the TV on." Like that's where she's going with that. So we get a nice little commercial for Prestige outerwear.
Yeah, it's Prestige outerwear can fill the void in your life with a glamorous jacket that your friends could never afford. So make sure you own the coat that says "I'm better than you."
Yeah, and then the coat literally says, "I'm better than you." So obviously Charlene and Mindy want this jacket because they want to be better than the people who think they're better than them.
Exactly.
It's a status thing. Status is the most important thing in the world, is what we're learning here. But Fran won't buy it because it's $591. Like $500 now, still no. Like 1991, like is that like 2,000 now? Like I can't even like comprehend how outrageously expensive this jacket is.
Yeah, like it's saying it's like high-end designer prices, kind of.
Yeah, like I've never even looked at a tag and saw anything like this. I probably feel like if I try to walk into one of the stores, I'd just be like told to leave immediately,
escorted out.
Yeah, and then I'd have to do like a whole Julia Roberts thing and come back like big mistake, but I don't have the money to do it with, so I couldn't do it. I just have to leave.
Also, it's like a living thing you're wearing too, so like it's alive. So well, I assume that would make it more expensive.
Well, yeah, that's fur coats though. That is part of the price tag for fur.
They are dead though.
I think it'd be funny if somebody threw a bucket of red paint on her jacket at some point during this episode.
Well, they already did the vegan episode, so
that's true.
And only Robbie can think like that. Only
Robbie should have thrown a bucket of paint on her.
Yeah. Also, I do like this commercial too. Just the beginning where it almost feels like it's gonna be like an antidepressant commercial. Like it's just like adolescence, and the girl's like, she's like crying, sitting alone, and it's just like, you need status to make you feel superior to others.
It's similar to the episode the commercial they had about beer in that one episode about drinking alcohol. It's like,
no one likes a thinker.
Yeah, who likes a thinker when you can be a drinker? Like, the show does get darkly cynical at times, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, so it's too expensive, obviously, but she's like, well, maybe I'd appreciate it more if she works for it. So it cuts to the next scene where she's just begging Earl to buy the jacket for her. Like, yeah. Well,
she offers him his slippers or a pipe or a wounded antelope screaming for its life.
Which, by the way, I guess antelopes can talk too.
Only when they're dying. Only when they're screaming
No,
for their life.
Okay. But
well, everything
I mean,
can talk on this show.
she's basically just doing everything their pet human could do. So
That's true. When they had the pet caveman, it did bring the slippers. It's a weird episode. But I do like so for one, she's still like going after $500, even though she already made a deal with her friend that they'd split it $250 each, which I think is interesting. But also the concept of like sharing a cool sweater with your friend and taking turns wearing it to school. If they're already worried about being social outcasts, wouldn't that be weird too? Like, I don't know.
Like people would know.
Yeah, they'd be like, yeah, that's just the same jacket that she wore. Like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't
two
it.
identical ones. Like, what is this?
It's like for some reason they don't wear them on the same day. It wouldn't make sense. Like,
it's like Superman, like Superman and Clark Kent. Like they're
yeah, exactly.
It's just like that episode of
Superman and Clark Kent had to go to the same school. People would catch on pretty quick. I think it's like.
I was gonna say it's like that episode of Pen 15 where they get the thong.
Oh yeah,
oh yeah,
magic thong.
Yeah,
that's a great show too.
So yeah, and then while she's like begging, Earl's just like, he's like, I don't get it, Robbie. Why don't you act like this?
Yeah, why don't you humble yourself at my feet?
He's like, but Robbie is big brain, so he doesn't need any money.
Yeah, it's interesting because he does point out, he's like, well, I'm not acting like that because I don't need the money. And then like Earl calls him cynical or whatever because he expects the worst out of people. Of course, sitcom leaning into Charlene be like, I need $500, dude. Like now.
Yeah. But also it's funny because Robbie doesn't really have to ask for money. As we've seen, Earl will just give him money because he thinks he's gonna get laid.
Oh, that wasn't. He's gonna sew his wild oats. But also, Robbie is the only one who has chores, which I think does make sense that he gets money in that sense. But they do pigeonhole Charlene into being the way she is. Like they don't give her the responsibility, so she can't live up to it. Like that's the whole thing.
Yeah,
like that happened in my household a lot too, where it was like I was like younger than my sister, but I had more responsibilities and privileges because it was just the way my mom was treating us differently for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And and then I love it too because Earl is like, you're not asking, he's like, she's not asking for money, and then she just says it straight out, and then he's just like, you know what, I never wanted any of you. I only need one offspring to carry on my legacy.
Which of course is the baby covered in yarn who just shouts not the mama at him.
That was good. I like that.
Yeah, so he explains to Charlene that like she doesn't need status or whatever. He wears the same shirt every day and he demands respect everywhere he goes. Which of course leads to Ethel coming in and hitting him with her chair.
He's the mighty megalosaurus, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone respects him.
I like how he gets up like Ethel's at their house almost every day, but he's still just like, what are you doing here? Just immediately when he sees her. And she's there to have what?
I was gonna say, so we never really established that she doesn't live at
doesn't live there. No, we've established it. She goes home sometimes.
But where does she live?
That's
what I was gonna say.
This also comes into play because like after like the whole thing, his little spat with her and like Fran's like, leave her alone, she's old and helpless, which I think is rude of Fran to say to her mom in general. But she's just like, yeah, I'm old and helpless. Like she's like, whatever. Then she like whips Earl with a cane. And then like the whole thing is like to me about her not living there. And like the money thing is she gives like Charlene the $500 because it'll make Earl mad. That's her whole like theory.
Exactly.
And it's assumed that it's from her college fund. Like, why is she just carrying around the college fund all the time? And like also, she lives somewhere else. She's paying rent, so she probably has money coming in from Social Security or something. Like, I don't know.
What do you think her Social Security number is, Ben?
-5.
-5. Okay. Yeah.
Well,
so
even in 1990, $500 would not buy you that much college.
Yeah,
that's
not
like
that much
one
college.
semester at a state school. Maybe.
Yeah,
that's like a book.
Yeah, it's like a book now.
Yeah.
There's that meme that went around with like about a man stealing like thousands of dollars, $10,000s worth of college textbooks, and somebody's like, "Damn, he stole a whole book." But
Go buy a banana. How much does it cost? $10.
how much it possibly cost? But yeah, I do love that. Like, for one, when Earl does get hit with a cane and he's like having reactions to it, Robbie does get up to help his dad because he actually cares about him and isn't just trying to get money out of him.
He cares about him, and he does
help him.
Yeah,
he helps him, and he's like, he's like, whoa, he's like, what's that ringing? He's like, you hear that bell? He's like, a dinosaur just got his wings. I thought that was good.
That's
it's like
how they become dragons.
Yeah, it's almost like off, like you barely hear him say it, but I like heard him just say it in the background. It's great. But
here's the thing, there's like a few parts of the scene that I was just like, this is just bad writing, because like, for one, the whole like her agreeing with being old and helpless, being like, yeah, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't feel like she'd want to agree to that. Like, it just seems weird. And then the whole Charlene being like, I'm not ever eating again until I get that jacket or I pass a buffet. I'm like, they're just making fat jokes at Charlene again. It's silly. She's a dinosaur. They designed her this way anyway. But
yeah.
Then the third one that I thought was needless was the whole like, the only way Charlene's going to college is inside the cake at a frat house party.
Yeah, that's pretty harsh.
Yeah, I was like, rude. I was like, there's also no precedent for that. Like, she's doing okay in school, and there's episodes of her becoming smarter and like getting more interested in the universe and stuff. And then they're just like equating her, like, I don't know, it's just weird. Like, also, no shame if that's how you end up in college, is in a cake at a frat house party. That's your life. Do it.
Yeah,
But
as long as you get to eat some of the cake.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Horrible thing to say to your 12-year-old granddaughter.
Yeah, she's just like, here, I'm gonna quickly sexualize you for some reason and give you your $500 to blow on a jacket so I can teach you to be vain. Like,
but there's also the part too where when Ethel, not Ethel, but Charlene's talking to her and she's like, wow, grandma, you know me so well. And I like, Ethel's just like, yeah, pretty much.
pretty much.
Yeah, it is very weird too. I mean, sadly, that's not the first time they like sexualize the 13-year-old. So
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
Roy does it at one point too, where he's like, that looks just like Charlene if she had a bigger tail. I'm like, that's a weird thing to ever say. Like, while we're equating tails with breasts in this episode, like, what the fuck, Roy? I like Roy too. He ruins himself sometimes though.
I know, yeah. I remember that too, and it was like, ew.
Yeah, he just like catcalls all the women at work too. I'm just like, Roy, chill out. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, these people have to work with you every day, and you're just like being gross.
Yeah,
but it's the thing is, the next scene starts with a TV gag, which is probably my favorite part of this show in general. Is the little TV gags. We get
totally
this a lot.
Predator.
Yeah, Totally Hidden Predator is playing on TV, which I guess is similar to like Candid Camera or something, but except in that show, somebody doesn't come up and kill you.
No,
Should be a very different show.
Dinosaurs have snuff programming. It's just all snuff.
It is all about murder, but then we just did the episode about war where they were all afraid to kill. Like, it was all like,
yeah,
they're all just throwing sticks at each other and stuff. Like,
their morality is all over the place.
Yeah, because like in your namesake there, they blow up a Timmy in every episode.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like exploding dinosaur children.
Yeah, exactly. And then they suddenly go to war and they're all like, I don't know if this is worth it. It's
Yeah,
like
one person died and is like, oh no.
But yeah, so they hide their predator at this peaceful suburban park as they watch as unsuspecting Ida Schmerzer comes home from the market now. Yeah.
Ida Schmerzer.
Schmerzer, I hardly know her. And then Ida is eaten by the swamp monster. I'm pretty sure that's the same puppet as the swamp monster from the one episode.
I think so.
Yeah, which was like a puppet that they designed for a totally different Jim Henson show, apparently. I forget which one.
That's why it looks
Oh, really?
different.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
It's in the
Is that
Beretta-
I was about to say, did you get that from the Beretta Brothers episodes?
Yeah, because all the Henson people are like, "Oh yeah, that's the one we did for this show." It's like, "Oh, cool guys, thanks."
That's interesting.
But yeah, so it's probably because it's just easy. They probably just have the image of it doing that stuff. They don't even have to like re-puppeteer it. Like,
Oh, you know what? That's true. With the
Yeah.
way that's probably just green screen adding that from like whatever it was. That's interesting.
But then he does this. He's like, "What's for dinner, Ida?" And the audience are like, "You are." Yeah. So it is like a hidden camera show, but it's also like America's Home Videos, or Funniest Home Videos, which they've already done a parody of. So
Well, in Candid Camera, I feel like they go back to a studio on stage and like talk to I could be wrong, but it's been a long time since I've seen that show. And there's been
yeah.
And there's been like 500 versions of that show since it came out too. But I remember watching it as a little kid. I think it's interesting this part where Earl and Fran are both laughing at the TV show though, because Fran doesn't like TV. It's established pretty early on. Like I don't think she'd find this funny, but also she says the thing about liking dinosaurs being caught in the act of being themselves. And I just thought that joke made no sense to me. I'm like, that's not really what's happening in the scene either.
Yeah, it's weird. And then,
weird line.
Earl is like slightly choking on his food too, but it's not really like brought up. Like I thought it was gonna be a joke, but he was just like, "This is weird."
But yeah, so that was just a weird jumbled scene for whatever reason. But Charlene does come home and knocks on the door and asks if everybody's ready because she's going to introduce her jacket to the family. And but Earl's like too distracted by like the predator is now hiding the washing machine or whatever.
Yeah.
But Charlene explains to Fran that Ethel bought her the jacket, and Fran's of course upset about this. For some reason, this is the thing I was talking about earlier. Fran immediately knows it's from her college fund, but like it's like $500. Like she rents a place somewhere. She must have money. Like she just like gave her $500. There's no reason to assume it's her college money, but whatever.
Yeah.
This seems weird to me.
Well, you know, the boomers, they all got, money everywhere. So.
That's what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, Fran is really concerned because she's just like, how could you throw away your entire education for a piece of clothing?
Because I look great. Which is all she needs to say, in my opinion. That's the best response. I look great. What are you talking about, Mom? I'm 13. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah. And then so we get introduced to the
Tim
coat.
Curry.
Tim Curry as the coat. And Earl hears it. He's like, look at that, it talks. And he was just like, I was thinking the same thing about you.
Which I love that Earl has such amiable responses to this. He's just like, oh, thanks. Like
he always acts like that though.
Yeah, he always thinks things are compliments. Like he's like, That's like the only time I like Earl really is when he's like very like good natured about things.
Yeah. And so the coat is like, he's basically calling Earl and Fran like bad parents because they like lead to her self-esteem issues or they contribute to it, which like you said earlier, it's not
off base.
True. Yeah.
I don't think this coat knows that though, but the coat's more just looking at them and thinking they look like shit, I think. But
yeah, I think the coat just senses weakness.
Yeah. That's its whole thing. That's Tim Curry. Tim Curry can sense weakness.
So
I wanted to say that like when I was looking, I was like, I know I don't understand like dinosaur aesthetics, but that coat definitely doesn't look like it's worth $500. I just want to say,
yeah.
Like I think you're paying for like the live or I don't know reanimated animal, but it's like it's cow print, fake fur with like a hot pink zipper, and it's kind of like baseball jacket shaped. I would say.
Yeah.
And it's got like this animal kind of like. Like an old lady fox fur with a head kind of hanging over the shoulder.
Is there like a puppeteer hiding behind Charlene in every scene for this? Like to do that? Because I don't know how that works.
It's crazy.
I was wondering about that too. There's this puppeteer named Wood Splitter Lee who does like dragons. Mm-hmm. And she has one, it's like on her arm, and then she has a fake arm hanging down. So it occurred to me, it's pretty cool. They look pretty real. And then she's sort of, it's like a backpack and it goes over her shoulders like it is a fancy version of that same dinosaur puppet. So I was wondering if there's another person hiding behind Charlene, or if it's the Charlene puppeteer using their own arm and Charlene's arm is just hanging.
That's what I was
shot.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you were saying like just have the arm hanging. That's what I was thinking. It's just Misha. I think Misha's in that suit.
Yeah,
from
Misha.
Ninja Turtles. So he's probably just moving it, and then they probably have. I assume they probably have someone on the offsite who's doing the computer for the eyes and stuff too.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's probably because they do a lot of automatronic shit too. So
But you can get a rig where you can blink a puppet, because I have used one before. It's really hard to operate, but like you can get a rig where it's like, when you do a hand puppet, it's just like the little shadow puppet hand, but you can like get this little thing that fits over your ring finger or your middle finger, and when you wiggle those, it'll blink its eyes.
Ooh, that's cool.
It is cool. It's really cool. That's what a lot of Muppets have, like when you see them blink. So I don't know one way or another what they did.
Yeah, go ahead.
I am wondering if they had someone who was behind Charlene, because you see it change direction a lot, and that seems like it'd be kind of tricky for one person to do.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, just because it also, like, with the way it's set up, I mean, it's such a big costume, it wouldn't be that hard to have someone just get right behind her for that.
Kind of hide and reach up their arm. Yeah.
I wish we would have seen this episode before we interviewed Bill, and maybe we could have asked him
about how they did that.
Yeah, like how they pulled it off.
Oh, I'm sure we'll figure it out at some point. This is the most, like, this type of puppet always makes me think the most of like the Labyrinth and other hints and things like that. Like, I don't know what it is, or like my sister was really excited about me doing this episode specifically too, because she has just a thing for this puppet for whatever reason. She thinks it's really cool.
She likes when puppet clothing is rude to everybody.
This puppet is like based in a really fundamental childhood experience, which is the first time you see a fur stole with a real head and feet on it, and it freaks you out.
Yeah, for real.
Right? Like, we've all been there, like in an antique store or something, and I think like the older you are, the more that's a thing. Because I even kind of sort of remember the era when like old women would have one of those. Like, I remember like
that's so weird.
Those. And I think that's what it's based on, right? Because there's just something extra. I mean, obviously the fur industry is bad, and I'm not, in support of fur coats in general, but like there's something even spookier about like it's a fur, but it still has its head and its little texture in the eyeball. Like, they're almost puppets already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very weird. I think my first experience with that was probably Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That.
You remember when he's like when he first goes to like the fancy hotel or country club or whatever, and he sees the bald guy and he calls him the Monopoly
Man.
Originally he gets mad at the woman he's with because she has on a fur coat, and he's like appalled, so he like grabs it and like is like fucking with them. So, yeah.
That's silly.
That's what I remember.
But yeah, I would say to the point of this jacket kind of not looking great or fashion forward, I agree with that, because Charlene is like the one who changes outfits every episode, and she's had some really cool outfits, and this just doesn't hold up to them. Like, it's not as cool as her other outfits at all.
Especially
Maybe that was intentional, because I feel like Charlene does have good style. I mean, in that world, like, she's always wearing these cool earrings, and there's nothing really wrong with what she's wearing. But yeah, the jacket itself isn't like mind blowing from my human perspective.
And like, and also if Fran was making her sweaters all along, that's even cooler. Like yeah, Fran is awesome.
Nobody else can even own that. That's straight home. Like, it's unique. Yeah, but this one definitely just looks like she shoplifted from Fashion Bug. Like, it's not a cool jacket. Like, it's not that dope. But it thinks it's dope as fuck. The jacket itself is like really into itself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Do you think they just like hang out on the racks and they just talk to each other and talk down to everyone?
Oh my god!
Do you think they're like mean to each other, or do you think it's like them against the customers?
See, that's interesting. Maybe they have like a Statler Waldorf type like.
Yeah, it would be funny though. They maybe they just didn't have the technology for that scene, but it would be kind of funny to see them all hanging on a rack.
Yeah, I would like to see that. I'd like to see that scene.
I'd like to see them hiss at each other. I feel like that'd be a thing.
Yeah, like two of them walking by each other and they hiss at each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have at least done that, like someone else wearing one. I think that would have been funny. Besides the person in the commercial.
Yeah.
But,
which had a different voice than Tim Curry. So but it had the same sultry nature to the voice, I guess.
Yeah.
That was Bill Curry. Bill Curry. So Mindy comes in and Charlene, because Mindy comes home and Mindy's like, oh well, I have the money for her half, which I do like you pointed out, Ben. It's just like, wait a minute, Charlene paid full price for this. Like, why does she need the money?
Yeah, and that plot point no longer exists to Charlene. Charlene forgot about that the moment she brought it up, I think. Because like even when she hears the doorbell, she's like, oh, I'm gonna go make her jealous. I'm like, you're supposed to be like sharing this, you dick. Like she already forgot. But that's the power of the code. I think the code is infecting her brain. Exactly.
And then the code roasts Mindy for what she's wearing, which is a very the first thing I thought of was Blossom, the show Blossom. Yeah. Like the hat.
But I feel like it was sort of trendy still if you were like 13 or 12 or 13. I mean, I was not trendy, which is why I don't know why I grew up to be a puppeteer. I remember what was trendy though. And I feel like what Mindy is wearing is like pretty trendy. Like all those kind of like light colored tie-dyes and her little blossom hat. Like she didn't look wildly uncool, I feel like.
Yeah, or Tim Curry says it's a fashion statement. That statement is welcome to the big top. Which I did not. I immediately, like, when I heard that, I was like, that must be something to do with a circus. And I had to look it up because I wasn't 100% sure, but it just sounded like a circus thing. I guess that's the Ringmaster song at a circus.
Wow.
Not to be confused with the Ringmaster from ICP, but
big or Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Ringmaster.
Yeah.
The official difference. So I had a friend who's was in a carnival family, and the official difference between a carnival and a circus is that a circus has a big top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're the same,
all carnies.
The same carnies, essentially.
Yeah.
Cirkies and carnies.
Cirkies? Did you say cirkies?
Yeah. Hey,
I don't think that's a thing. I think
I'm starting it now.
I think they're still maybe all carnies, but like definitely the circus has a big top, and that's the difference.
Big top Pee-wee.
You know what? Actually, I'm gonna just cirkies are people who are circumcised.
Oh my god!
Then big tops are people who still have their hood.
Why?
I don't know.
Did you do that?
My brain did that. It wasn't me. I didn't mean that to happen. But
I think the code's infecting your brain.
The code has hacked my mainframe. But yeah, so it's roasting Mindy for looking like she belongs at a circus or whatever. It's rude. But he also explains to Charlene, like, you can't share me. That's the point of a status symbol, is you have me and she doesn't.
Exactly. And
then he teaches her how to talk down to people too.
Yeah. It's been great having you as a little playmate, I think. What he says to say to Mindy, and then she makes a really sad face. Mm-hmm. It's kind of poignant because the puppet has these huge goggle eyes.
Yeah.
And Mindy looks very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because she thought they were friends.
Yeah, but then I like her response. She's like, well, I'm just going to go buy my own shoes.
She says that she'll never wear. She's like, my own shoes I'll never wear.
So we also get that part where there's another great Earl line where like Fran is like all upset because of
being insulted.
Yeah, she was being insulted and
for being bad parents, and he's just like, Charlene who?
Yeah, exactly. The child he never wanted.
Yeah, the child he never wanted. He's usually proud of Charlene, but this episode he's not into her.
Yeah, and then so we like separated a whole segment, but that's okay.
Yeah, you jumped into the next scene before you closed that last one out, but that's how it ends before they go into roast Mindy.
Yeah, roast Mindy.
But either way, what were we gonna say, Tim?
I was gonna say, who dressed you and why do they hate you so much?
Yeah. But what I was gonna say about the scene with him like instructing her how to like talk down or be snobby or smug. But it reminds me of in 30 Rock, there's this scene where like, was it Jenna Maroney is teaching Kenneth how to like do backhanded compliments, and she's just like, Yeah, and she's just like, here's one. Like, say, like, it's hard for me to watch American Idol because I have perfect pitch control. And then like he's like, oh, ugh. And then his version, Kenneth, is it's hard for me to watch American Idol because there's a water bug on the channel changer. One of the best written lines I've ever heard in TV. It's a water bug on the channel changer. But yeah, that's essentially like Charlene's like being instructed how to be an asshole, and she's kind of like reluctant to it to an extent.
Yeah, she doesn't really. She doesn't seem into it really.
No, but it's insidious, and until she gets it off later, she's gonna keep sinking into its level.
Yeah, it's her symbiote. It's her venom.
Yeah. It's her worm tongue from Lord of the Rings.
I'm glad you went with Lord of the Rings because I was so ready for you to make a Harry Potter joke.
What would my Harry Potter joke even be there?
I don't know, like Voldemort in the back of that guy's head.
No,
Yeah.
it'd be, yeah, I guess that works. Professor Quirrell. I could have also done the Chamber of Secrets, the Diary of Tom Riddle, but whatever. I have a one Harry Potter joke episode quota. I'm not allowed to go over, so I had to stop.
It doesn't. I mean, I don't know though. Voldemort doesn't like say bitchy things about other people's fashion, even though
It'd
he
be
seems
great.
the type.
Yeah, he does seem like the type. It would be great if he was just like that all the time. Like, oh, Lucius, I like that outfit for you.
But bad guys
How
are
fun.
the best dressed in
Yeah,
like the Death
That's
Eater.
true.
They're sweet.
yeah, it's true.
Plus, he always just wears that robe, and he's got no nose. So
He's got no nose. So how can he have a sense for fashion? He has no nose.
he can't smell it. So,
He'd bite off his nose to spite his face.
yeah. So yeah, Mindy storms out, and Tim Curry's like, it's like I know you're feeling guilty, but it eventually goes away.
You'll lose your conscience.
Yeah, and then he's like, let's go upstairs and look through your yearbook and pick out a whole new set of friends.
What a sociopathic notion. Although
Yeah.
I think that kind of sounds fun now. I wish I would have thought to do that. Just be like, I'm gonna go find this kid tomorrow and we're gonna be friends now. It sounds really funny.
That's like you're making a list. That's some creepy shit.
Exactly. That's Steve Buscemi and Billy Madison crossing off the list of the lipstick.
Yeah.
While ELO plays in the background.
So
we cut to another TV gag, right?
yeah, dinosaur music television, DTV.
With the bulbous like Moon Man.
Yeah, with the
helmet.
dinosaur helmet.
Yeah,
Right.
they've already been to the moon. They didn't have refrigerators that long ago, but they've been to the moon.
And they think the Earth is flat.
I don't think the original MTV spot was filmed on the moon.
Are you sure it wasn't?
It was
Kubrick?
actually, yeah, I was gonna say it's a
Stanley
Kubrick soundstage. But I do enjoy like this lizard skizzard scene, even though I think they could have done a better fake band name, but that's fine because that's a little dated, lizard skizzard for 1992. But it's Nigel Ouch, and I do like this because this is like right before home internet and pirating. Napster took off. This is just a few years before that became a thing, so they don't have that knowledge yet. But they're still like their CD that didn't sell well was called "Borrow This Record from a Friend and Tape It."
Well, that was also a thing though in like that time period when tapes became more like widely available.
Yeah,
a lot of people
record off your boombox.
Yeah, a
People
lot
were
of
upset
people
about it.
would do that. It was like the original Napster. So.
Yeah, I used to do that. I remember borrowing my friend's little Bow Wow CD and recording it onto a cassette when I was 10. Wasn't even worth it.
Also, I like that their album was called that, but so they played the whole album on the radio. Like that's pretty crazy.
Well, no, but it was borrow it from a friend and tape it, and then the next one was take this off the radio for free. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean that means they should be happy. That means every single song was a hit. It was on the radio.
It's like Dookie.
Yeah. So I guess that's true. I guess this is eventually where System of a Down got their idea for Steal This Record or whatever it was.
Exactly. While they were fleeing their home country because of genocide and watching this.
They were watching dinosaurs at the same time.
Yeah. But I love the tour name though. gonna if I ever go back on tour, this is gonna be the name of the tour.
Yeah, don't bother to come. We'll be on cable next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we ever do and other than bands that we play in, if we ever do a podcast tour, that has to be what it's called.
Yeah.
Although nobody has cable, so nobody would see it in a month.
They wouldn't get it. It's
No.
true.
But yeah, so this cuts that Robbie's just lying on the couch watching TV, but he's kind of also reading a book that says, "So you've decided to have a relationship."
Okay.
So, that's I couldn't read it.
Yep. He's trying to get some dating tips from his book.
Nice.
He really is a pickup artist, huh?
That's his thing. But yeah, he's doing that while pretending to take calls for Charlene, but he's not actually jotting down the messages at all.
But he's like acting like he is. Like he's like, oh yeah, no, 406, and like he's pretty good.
I remember doing that once. Somebody called my mom and they were being like rude to me on the phone. I was like a little kid. And then I remember pretending to take down their number and information. And then the lady was like, "So can you read my number back to me?" And I was like, no. Like I was like, I got it. She's like, "I'll call back later." And I was like,
Busted.
yeah, I know. I was like, shit, I thought I could get away with this. But
I thought Robbie was gonna like lean in and be like and try to get like girls' phone numbers this way.
that would have made sense in the scene with the context of him having the book too. They should have played that up. But I felt like he had he reminded me a lot of like Randall from the movie Clerks in this whole like episode. Like his little like fake taking the message down, not really paying attention. When Charlene asks if she has messages later, he's like, "Not a one." Like she's completely ignoring it.
Yeah. And Fran is in the kitchen and she's really concerned. She's talking to Earl. She's like, "I can't believe she's got like all these new friends." And Earl,
people are calling the house all day.
Yeah, and Earl, this is when Earl tries to be sarcastic. And he's like, "Oh no, she's happy and has friends. What a terrible thing.
Where do we go wrong as parents?"
It's like, and then she just deadpans and he's like, "I'm being sarcastic." That was great. I love that part.
Earl's annoying. He did not have to clarify it.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a little unclear how much time has passed, right? Like, how long has Charlene had this coat that she's made all these new friends?
Yeah, at the beginning of the episode, you can kind of assume when days are passing because it would switch to night and day. But now it's really unclear unless it was just a hit immediately at school.
It seems like it's at least 2 or 3 days, though.
Yeah, I feel like she got it on the weekend based on the fact that like she kind of came home during the morning time with the jacket on. So I feel like she got it on the weekend and then went to school and was just like the coolest kid in school because her jacket talks, I guess. Which, to be fair, if you went to school with a jacket that talked, you would be kind of interesting or scary.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think
just
it would work.
disregard the printing noise that's going on right now.
Is there printing in your background? Anything interesting?
Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
It's a payment status for.
Are you in a fax? Are you in a fax right now?
No, we have one printer in the house and it's
Is that
wireless.
mimeograph?
Another. Yeah. All right, cool. This is good information. I needed this. Anyway,
I wish this was a bit and you just held up a piece of paper that said something ridiculous right now. But
it just says eat my shorts.
Yeah. Look at this photograph.
So Charlene comes home and she's just like she's so happy. She's like, "I got great news. Heather Worthington said that I can sit at her table tomorrow."
And she can sit with the plastics tomorrow as long as she wears pink.
Exactly.
On Wednesdays.
Fran is like concerned, like they only like her because of her coat, and Charlene's just like, "Well, duh."
That was a big thing in my house as a kid. We were not allowed to say "duh" to our mom. Like that's immediately my takeaway from the scene. Is just like I was like, "Damn, she's playing with fire." Like I would have ran immediately after saying it. Like. This is like those TikToks, like black teenagers at like a white teenager's house, and they're just listening to the kid cuss at their mom, and they're just like, "What's up with white kids?" Like,
Yeah.
But like, yeah, she's mean to her mom, who like, as if her mom doesn't understand sarcasm. Everyone in the scene is assuming that Fran doesn't understand sarcasm,
When she started the episode being the most sarcastic one.
but nobody picked up on it.
Yeah. Yeah, so also the jacket like compliments Earl.
He says it's lovely to see you again.
Yeah,
Lovely to see you again.
he's in love with that jacket.
Yeah, Earl's just like, was it? And you?
Move over, Roy.
Yeah, he's got a new best friend, a new pal boy.
Yeah, and then we get like she asks Robbie if she got any calls, and he's like, nope.
Not a one. And then Fran tells Earl that Charlene's growing up to be a snob, and Earl's just like, they grow up so fast. That's the only reaction to that.
A social climbing snob.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So yeah, she's super. We cut to Charlene's room. By the way, I think this is the first time we're seeing Charlene's room. Am I right? Or
I think you're right. I think we've only seen Robbie's so far, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Charlene's in that episode where Robbie has to roar and stuff, but I could totally have mixed up the two.
Charlene came into Robbie's room for that scene.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, we see her like she tries to do the like, teenage girl flop on the bed, but it's hard because she has a gigantic tail.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
She's got like, I thought, she got her tail, so she's got all those stuffed animals on her bed and stuff, so she's clearly still like a little kid.
Everyone keeps their stuffed animals. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean,
Tim, your room is covered in Legos.
The stuffed animals don't go on our bed. They're on this little shelf here. They have their own little shelf.
Yeah, when you get older, you just organize it differently. So.
Who wants to sleep with a bunch of stuffed animals? They're in the way.
That's true. I don't keep baby on my bed. So.
Baby.
Yeah, which I like. I need to like restitch it differently because my hand does not really fit inside this guy at all.
Oh my god!
But he is great. Chomper is afraid of him.
So she's all excited to eat at Heather's table, but then the coat is just like, you know what? Is like, my novelty is running thin, so you need to put something together, like accessorize.
Yeah, because he refuses to ever grow old. He's like, ugh.
Which, since he's kind of partially dead, I don't think he really has to worry about that.
Is he partially? Is that how you think of it? I feel like if his tail's in water, he's still alive. That's how that works, right? It's like a plant.
It's horrifying in a subtle kind of way. I think that's one reason this episode is stuck with so many people. We're like, is it alive or is it dead or is it reanimated?
Is it a demon?
Yeah, like what's happening here?
Yeah, and so she goes into her closet and she pulls out another sweater. And he's like, what? She's like, what about this one? He's like, what's it made of? She's like, 100% all natural polyvinyl chloride.
Was that the one she pulled out that was like a Jamaican vibe sweater? Which did her mom make it? Like, that's what I want to know too. Is like, I know some of these she gets from stores where you rummage through bins or whatever, but her mom makes some of it.
Yeah, maybe we don't know.
Yeah, but like. This is where like Tim Curry is like starts to like be like, you know what, your dad cares about you. He wants you to be happy. You should steal his credit card and go buy more clothes.
So this is definitely like one of the biggest tropes I remember from any sitcom is the trope is the episode where the teenage daughter steals her father's credit card to buy something. Like, it's Michael Jacobs.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking about that when I first watched it. Is I was just like, I don't think I would ever try to get away with that. Like, because I would know that you're getting caught in that situation. I feel like and also I know parents don't just have unlimited money. Like, I know that it wouldn't work.
Yeah, like getting busted, and it's like you would get so definitive busted. Consequences are so severe.
Yeah,
money out of like my parents' wallet or anything. I knew people who did sometimes though, but it would be like enough cash to buy snacks or something. Like your parents might not miss $5, But like they're gonna notice if there's some like weird charge on their credit card.
Yeah, and then just in general, getting caught, you'd feel like such a piece of shit. I feel like because there were times like when I was younger, I had like as a teenager, I remember like stealing like painkillers from my dad because I was an asshole teenager. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get fucked up. And then like getting caught for that was like the worst feeling in the world. Where he's like, like I need those, like I'm prescribed those. I'm just like, I don't want to talk right now. I'm just gonna go die somewhere. But like, so I could never imagine stealing a credit card. But yeah, my dad did have a giant jar of quarters. I would take some quarters and go get like a Yoo-hoo when I was a kid. But
yeah,
it was established that he didn't really mind. Like he was like, all right, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's not quite because it's sort of implied that like she's at some really fancy designer store. Well, I'm getting ahead, but
I mean that's like right in the next scene. They go like straight to the store, right? Oh, well, I guess first we get to see Totally Hidden Predator again, but it does.
Yeah.
Totally Hidden Predator, and then there's the like heist scene with Charlene.
Oh yeah. So that's so like after the worm tongue vibes of go steal the credit card, they go to the next scene and like Earl falls asleep watching Totally Hidden Predator, where a guy gets eaten at a job interview.
Yeah, he's like,
he's like, I'm on TV.
He's like, hey, the Predator, haha, am I on TV? And
yeah, he's gone. But so Earl is like sleeping, in the caption for like with closed captioning on says oddly snoring, which
I took a note of that too.
Oddly snoring. And then Baby does the thing where Baby for some reason is omniscient or whatever, like is aware of everyone's motives, and it's just like, you want me to be quiet? Like it's just the thing with the Baby is they like write down things that like, I guess it's like tropes that a baby would pull off, but they have to make it very spelled out for us or whatever.
Yeah, so
it's just silly.
So she doesn't really know what to do, and so of course she gets her advice from the coat, and is just like, "We'll give you $1." So she gives him $1, and then
out of Earl's wallet to be quiet.
She takes the $1 out, but I also love he's just like, yeah, pay me. He's like, I'm the baby, gotta pay me.
That's good.
That's what we're gonna say every day on payday.
I'm the baby, gotta pay me.
We like sampled one of those rap songs about like getting your money.
Hey, baby, I gotta have my money. Never mind, I can't make it work. You gotta pay me.
And then, so they give him the $1 and then he just eats it. So
yeah, and burps, I think, right? Like he's still
fucking
loud.
It
doesn't even work.
Fucking weirdo.
Fucking weirdo. Just eating money.
Eats the money, and then the coat is also appalled. He was like, "Oh my god!" He's like, "How common?"
You'd think the coat would think it was kind of a baller move to eat money, though. Like, to be like, I don't care about this at all. Like, I'm above it.
He probably smokes money.
Whatever that means. But yeah, so now they go to the high-end store at the mall where the coats cost as much as Earl makes in a month, or twice as much as he makes in a month, or whatever.
Yeah.
So Tim Curry's just like, tell him to get a job. He just lies around all night after work. Like he could be out working in a factory.
Yeah, doing simple repetitive tasks.
I've been there.
Like everything in the fancy store looks like this thrift store I used to go to that was like donations from hospices.
Oh yeah.
In like 1994, like it doesn't look fancy. I bet they just didn't have a lot of budget left after like making, paying Tim Curry and making the
yeah. It's probably just like everyone working at the Henson Company. Also, like they're like, I've never been in a fancy dress store. What do we even like?
Yeah, I only know what the inside of a Birkenstocks looks like.
You bunch of granola heads. No.
Yeah, like it just doesn't have like a particularly high-end vibe, and like the sweaters that Charlene is looking at look exactly like the sweaters she has at home.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're just a fashion bug. This is what's happening.
I think that's like the point. They're like, these are overpriced, but they're exactly like the other ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all fast fashion. It's just like a ripoff. But Tim Curry is very excited in the scene because Heather Worthington approaches them, and he likes the way she talks. Like he's immediately into it because she's just like, "Oh, I would never expect to see you here, considering the way you dress." And he's just like,
Yes.
I know exactly what you mean.
Well, yeah, at first he's like embarrassed to be with
Oh yeah, because
Charlene.
Charlene keeps vocalizing how expensive everything is, and he tells her to go wait in the car, which they didn't drive there. Like I don't know what that means.
Go get back on the bus.
Oh, he would. I bet if they had to ride the bus the whole time, he was just like, "Oh no, I'm next to peasants."
Yeah. So he loves Heather, which is played by Julia Louis Dreyfus, which is pretty funny, and I didn't notice that at all.
Yeah,
I noticed it after my second watch through, after I already knew that it was pretty obvious, but it could have, as far as I was aware, it could have been anyone the first time I saw it.
Did someone did Tim or Bill mention that they filmed in a similar studio, or am I just making that up?
If it would have probably been on those things you watched that I didn't watch, if so.
No, true. I don't know. But anyway, it's still cool that she's on the show though.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Heather just starts roasting her along with the coat. And he accuses her of being like indecisive, and Heather's just like, well, maybe you should go try them on.
Yeah, which and then like Heather posits that she should get vertical stripes to like, because he's trying to lose weight or whatever, or trying to slim down. And like this is a thing where like this happens to Charlene a lot, where people will mention her weight and she's very like does not respond to it, which is usually the case. But this time she's like, yeah, I guess everyone is or whatever, and it's sad. I'm like, oh, like
just sad.
Yeah, because there's the one episode where like she says she's like starving. She's like, my thighs are almost not touching, and I was like, that's great. And then but Fran's just like, oh, don't flatter yourself. I heard you coming from upstairs or whatever. I'm just like, fuck you. Like Charlene's already got it figured out. Leave her alone. Sherry knows big thighs save lives. Leave her the fuck
alone. Yeah.
The dinosaurs don't look at anything like people. So like whenever they do any of that like fat shaming stuff, I feel like that was more of a thing in the 80s and 90s in general.
It was so insidious. Everything was like, it was just an automatic joke where it's not even like, nobody would even be offended by it. It was like fat people weren't people to them. So they're like, whatever, just make the joke. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, and they just always assumed all teenage girls, no matter what they look like. Because I feel like that was kind of a thing in Married with Children also, even though Christina Applegate does looks like whatever like the sort of normative actress standard was back then. Mm-hmm. But I still feel like it was like always a thing. But it's like, it's so weird when it's ported over to dinosaurs, because it's like they don't have like a figure in a human sense, and they all have those thick thighs, and it's just very odd. It feels very sort of like we're doing a sitcom and this is how we write girls in sitcoms.
Yeah, that was my whole beef with this episode throughout, is like I felt like this could have been like a thing that the writer Dava had for any sitcom she was working on at the time. And it was just like, oh, let's just change a few things to make it work for dinosaurs. Because it really like it feels like it's not really doesn't place well with the rest of the series for me. It's just weird writing.
Yeah, they usually have, like some kind of like overlaying like some subversive commentary going on, but this is subversive commentary, but at the same time it has all the tropes of like a regular show, so it's not the same.
Yeah, I would say that also the commentary doesn't really touch on certain aspects that I thought about while watching either. It's only about like, it's very surface level, I feel like, where it's just like, oh, she wasted her money and lost a friend. Now she like has to get her friend back because people are going to be mean to her anyway. It's just like very surface level. I don't know.
Yeah, they kind of did Charlene dirty in this one. I mean, I feel like she's kind of the worst written character anyway, even though I really like the voice actor who plays her. I think she's really good, but like Charlene, I feel like often gets these kind of very stereotypical storylines.
Yeah, I think it's the thing with like most of the writers being men, and the writers who aren't men are probably dealing with the fact that all their coworkers are men. So they're like writing these things where like it's like they just don't know how to write for women or whatever, and like it's very shallow. Like
like when I was watching, I was just thinking, I felt like all teenage girls were written like that in the 90s, though. If it was a sitcom, except with the exception of obviously Lisa Simpson, who's clearly a rich and all that stuff, and then Darlene on Roseanne, the one that Sarah Gilbert played, who was kind of goth.
Yeah.
Every single other like girl on TV between like 1988 and 1995 on like a sitcom was written exactly like that, like really shallow, wants to be popular, wants to be skinny. Like it was very stereotypical, and I felt like there wasn't much of a break from that, you know.
Which is weird because it's a Michael Jacobs show, and he gave us Topanga, which is like the total opposite of everything else. So
well, like originally, but as that show goes on, Topanga does become more just like basic and washed down. Like she starts off as this big like hippie kid who's very woke, and then like by like season 4, she's the popular girl at school and like cares a lot about her appearance, and like that's her whole thing at that point, really.
Oh, interesting. I never watched that. It's because I was raised by hippies. I really violently resented Topanga. I mean, like later, but like people would always be like, find out, and then they would be like, oh, like Topanga, and I would just like, get out of my face. Like,
yeah, that makes sense. That fits into everything. Like you becoming a puppeteer later in life, being raised by hippies, does really come. It all comes full circle.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, the Henson Company is pretty hippie. Like if you see it like behind the scenes, or like the people who made Dark Crystal, like those people, they all like they just look like no.
I mean, it's just when we like, this isn't something I would have even put together until we interviewed the writer Tim Doyle about it, and he referred to them as granola heads affectionately.
Yeah,
he was talking about like you know, they were all doing yoga and all this. It was just funny. Like, it's like, okay, Tim.
Yeah, but even like when we were talking to Bill too, because they were talking about how like there was that one person who would make them these like special like wheatgrass like shots to like keep
to stay
energy.
awake.
Yeah, to like stay awake, and then he'd also have someone who would come and like do massage techniques on him and stuff. Yeah,
that's pretty. It seems like a wholesome company. That's all I take away from it. It sounds great.
Yeah. So basically the sweater, while Charlene leaves, the sweater chooses Heather, I guess.
Yeah.
And this is another scene. So when she's putting it on, like I think there might have been someone behind. I think that theory stands for this one because it looks like someone's doing the head while she's putting, because it's like talking to her while she's putting the jacket on.
Yeah, she puts her arm. And so, the person behind, I think, because those dinosaurs are so big, I think they would have been able to hide.
Yeah, exactly. They definitely,
especially Needle Nose, because Needle Nose is really tall. So.
Yeah,
it'd be easy to get behind, and just especially I don't think any of them can put on a jacket alone. They definitely have to have help for that. Like that sounds like a lot of work,
especially Earl.
Yeah, especially Earl.
He's so like that suit's so wide. Like
his clothes are barely on. Like Earl's like his jackets don't close or anything. Like it's just like barely on him.
Yeah. So once Heather removes, the evil worm tongue from her
from Charlene, once Charlene removes the jacket, she starts to see like things clearly now. Like she's just like, oh, this is like a waste of money. Why would I buy this? I already have a jacket like this. Like this is silly.
Yeah. And then Heather like shits on her some more, saying she shops where there's rummage bins. And Charlene's like, I thought we were friends. And she's like, I thought you had taste.
So mean.
Yeah, but we were both wrong. So like now, like she tries to get her jacket back, but it like is like her, like get away from me.
Yeah, like it chooses Heather. It's I always found that very disturbing. Like I remember watching it the first time being like, it's a nightmare. Like your favorite article of clothing just like chooses some other girl who's like super mean to you.
Oh my God, it's so terrible. To think about that actually happening. I guess like what if you just like somebody who's being a dick to you and then your dog went with them? Like your dog just it's like, actually this person I like. I'm leaving. Bye. That'd be terrible.
What's
So you're
that?
out $500. Like that rich girl just stole her $500 jacket.
She stole her education. Or this is her education now. This is the learning from the streets.
Yeah. Heather's family could pay for Charlene's college tuition.
Yeah, but I'm sure the code's going to consume Heather in the future, I'm sure, so it's fine. We'll probably never see Heather again.
Well, she'll die from loneliness.
But then we cut back to a Guantanamo Baby scene.
What the hell? Why did you write that in the note?
Because Baby is being tortured for information. It's better than they could have done like a whole like stuck in the middle with you could be playing while Earl's dancing with a knife around the baby. Reservoir Dogs, baby.
Reservoir Dogs was out by then, right? 92?
It would be about the same time, yeah, I think.
Okay.
Pulp Fiction was definitely 94, but I feel like
Yeah.
Reservoir Dogs didn't hit like the whole culture like Pulp Fiction did. That was just like film nerds saw
Yeah.
Reservoir Dogs, and it didn't get popular until Pulp Fiction came out.
That's true, because yeah, it was 92, but I mean I saw it after Pulp Fiction, obviously, but I didn't see Pulp Fiction, so I was probably 10. Still too young to see it, I'm sure.
Yeah,
But
all young to see Pulp Fiction.
I know I saw Reservoir Dogs when I was in middle school too, because I had it on DVD. So, but
Also, it would be interesting to see him try and cut a dinosaur's ear off.
yeah,
Ears. Charlene has her earrings like stuck to her little kind of like lizard eared holes.
yeah. When our friend Erin was on, she kept bringing up like this is scary. Like I don't like how their earrings don't make sense. Like what are they doing?
They just dangle there, like you just put them in, stick them into your skin, like your ear
Yeah.
hole skin.
Well, I mean, real earrings stick into your skin, though, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't know.
Oh yeah,
I'm terrified.
You're terrified of needles or what?
Oh god, yeah. I gotta get my vaccine, and
Oh my
I'm
goodness,
scared.
it's
You just
fine.
you have to look away.
I do. I literally have to look
God.
away. I think it's worse when they like take stuff out of you. That's when it really fucks me up.
Well,
At
that's
least-
because it actually physically affects your body. But like,
I know, but this will be a little bit easier because they're just putting some water into me, you know?
It just feels like a hard pap. I got my first vaccine like 3 weeks ago.
mhm.
And like, yeah, it really just feels like someone's like capping hard on your shoulder. It doesn't really hurt that much.
I don't feel shots like until the next day when your arm can't move. Like that's when it hurts.
I feel like
Everybody.
When it happens, I always think they're still just touching it with a cotton swab and it's over. So like it doesn't bother me.
It's all
But
right. I'll have to mentally prepare. you know?
It'll be fine.
it's not that bad.
Also, I love having the microchip in me. That's what's happening right now.
It feels
Yeah, I
good.
haven't seen any benefits from that. I thought I'd be able to like pick up the internet in my fillings or something.
Yeah, I
No.
thought I'd be able to reprogram birds when I passed. This is not working.
It's butterflies, actually.
Oh yeah, it must.
Butterflies.
Maybe it's the second shot. Maybe it's the second shot. We get the
Yeah.
full microchip effect.
Yeah. And
But
then
yeah,
you,
so
you answer questions like Alexa.
so yeah, Earl's trying to get Baby to spill the beans on the jacket. What's funny is Baby just says, "Give me juice," and he'll just tell him. But Earl's like ignoring that. But Earl gives him a cookie, and then he immediately is like, "Charlene did it. I saw her do it. I watched her do it with my eyes." Charlene.
He sold her out for a cookie, man.
Yeah, just like straight up. But we've seen the baby go to war for a cookie, so it does make sense.
That's true. But yeah, so Earl runs
Earl's-
into the kitchen. Yeah, and
He's
she's
hurt.
like,
He's upset. His daughter's a common thief.
yeah, and he's like, she could be out there buying boats or stereos. And he's like, I gotta call the credit card company right now. And then Fran's just like, Earl, you have a $50 limit.
So this reminds me of a time that I got a notification that my card was declined at Wendy's. So somebody had stolen my credit card information and tried to buy Wendy's. Jokes on them. I was at my limit. Which is funny because I only knew I was at my limit because that person got declined trying to buy something. So I didn't have to deal with the embarrassment of going to Wendy's that day and getting turned down. Somebody stole my card did.
Yeah, I love it.
It's
'Cause-
hilarious to me.
Yeah, and he's just like, well, it's a good thing I'm such a credit risk.
Yeah, I felt the same way when I lost my wallet. I was just like, they can't do anything. Like, what are they gonna do? They have my social now, but I have a shitty credit score. What are they gonna do about it?
I drive a 20-year-old Jeep Cherokee that just like leaks all. I have to put fluids in it all the time. It's like perpetually on, kind of like on its last legs. And so yeah, sometimes like if I leave the windows cracked overnight, people are like, "Aren't you worried someone's gonna steal your?" I was like, "That car?" Like,
That's how I feel too. I used to
Just
just
go
leave my
ahead,
car
take it.
unlocked all the time because I was like, "Go ahead. There's nothing in there for you. Go for it." Like,
you know, like if someone just wants to give like Taco Bell wrappers, there's like an umbrella in there. I mean, like
yeah, if they need some extra fire sauce, they can rummage through my car. They can definitely get some hot sauce packets. I another thing when I was a kid is somebody stole my bike once, but it had an issue where the chain popped off it all the time. So I found the bike around the corner just laying there because the chain popped when they tried to steal it. And I was like, the one time I was like happy to have a shitty bike. I was like, all right.
But yeah, so
But Earl does suggest that she should just steal other people's credit cards if she wants to fit in at school, the rich kids' credit cards.
yeah, and he's just like, he's just thinking about the credit card scheme he could do with his daughter stealing from people.
Yeah, essentially making him like Ricky in Trailer Park Boys when like his daughter Ellen Page is going around stealing grills from people or whatever.
Yeah, and then he's just like, and Fran's just like, Earl, and he's like, what could be wrong? He's like, what's wrong is if and Fran's whole thing is like she doesn't want her daughter to grow up and believe that status is like the key to a better life. And Earl's not even paying attention because he's just like, so how many credit cards do you think she can steal in a week?
Because he's thinking about boats and stereos.
Yeah.
Boats and hoes. But like the thing about this is like they do this whole thing again about like don't let her believe that status is what matters, but they don't supply a thing that matters. That's why I think it's a half-baked episode. Like they're like, here's the lesson. Oh wait, I gotta leave before I give you the lesson. Like they don't really give us a lesson. They just like, it's just weird to me. But yeah, Charlene does come home and she confesses to stealing the credit card, and Earl's just like, I know that, but where's my boat? He's already living in his fantasy world he created within 5 seconds.
Yeah. Fran's like, Earl, he's like, yes, my first mate.
Some kinky role playing they got going on. She tells him to ship off and he's like, aye. This is funny because like he does the thing real quick where he just says what Fran already said, which is like, cat status is not the key to a better life. Your mom already knows that. I'm out of here. Like,
yeah.
He's just undercutting her, knowing what she's about to say.
Yeah, like they kind of talked about it beforehand, and he just like yanks what she was gonna say. And
Yeah.
leaves.
Yeah, he just wanted to be like, he wanted the credit of being the parent, even though he doesn't put in the work.
Well, you know, he's well respected everywhere he goes.
Yeah, he commands respect.
So yeah, so Charlene, she's so upset, and she goes to the fridge to pull out some milk and a whole cake.
In there, you can tell it's like styrofoam too by the way it
Yeah.
milk and a whole foam cake.
Mm-hmm. I love that their little creatures in the fridge prepare these plates for them like that, though. I guess everything she needs is already on a tray ready to go.
It's a kitchen in there, right?
Yeah.
I love the fridge creatures. I just want to see an episode that's completely set in their little world.
Just inside the fridge. Like, that'd be great.
Inside the bottle episode, but inside the fridge.
That might be a thing. I could be lying, but I'm not sure. That
I
might
haven't
be
seen
an
the whole
episode.
run of the show. I mean, I would love that if that was a thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be funny, considering we see the one where everything comes out of it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Which was a great one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Charlene's like just talks about how depressed she is, and like she like summarizes the episode for Fran, even though Fran was there the whole time. I think it's kind of funny. Like, they didn't like me, they just liked my coat. It's like, yeah, she was there, kid. Like, nobody respects Fran is what I really get out of this.
yeah. No one listens to her except when she has her own TV show where she
Yeah,
takes calls for people.
just talking with Fran.
Yeah,
But yeah, so you know, Charlene is like learned her lesson, so she tries to get out of being grounded through that. It's like, well, you don't really need to ground me because I already, I learned my lesson. But Fran grounds her anyway, and she's just like, well, you gotta do what you gotta do. And then we get our Michael Jacobs moment of the episode, though, where it's like she like says, "If you're the Charlene I know, you know what you got to do." And this is funny to me because I expected this to be a lead-in for a joke. I thought she was gonna pick up the phone and like try to get a credit card in her name or something like that.
Yeah, or like try to order another coat or something.
Or like leave a mean message on Heather's like answering machine or just something like. But no, they went with like the actual like she calls Mindy to like apologize. But what's funny is the DVD rip I have of it. When she picks up the phone, it ends. So I didn't get to like the first 3 times I saw it, I kept forgetting that was going to happen, and then I don't know what the ending was. So until right before we recorded, I finally watched the ending on Disney Plus, and I was like a little bit let down. I was expecting something ridiculous.
Yeah, it was an all right ending. It reminded me of the Charlene's Tale episode where she comes home and she's like, "You were right, Mom and Dad." Like, it's like, I don't know. It's
a little bit like very special episode, you know?
Yeah.
Like it feels like it's kind of moralistic in this way that not all the episodes are. I mean, I think you could say most of them kind of have a moral, but like it seems like the format of a lot of episodes is like the dinosaurs have this weird tradition and
Robbie thinks it sucks.
Yeah, like they question it for whatever reason, and then they change things a little bit, and it's sort of a commentary on modern society. But this one's just like teenage girls are shallow. Ooh.
Yeah, they don't pay it off as long as like they do the thing where she apologizes to her friend. But I was like, that kind of didn't feel like it was important throughout the episode. Like it happens. Like she does the thing where she's shitty to her and she's like, I thought we were friends. Then later somebody's shitty to Charlene. Charlene's like, I thought we were going to be friends. But I felt like there wasn't focus on those moments enough to make this payoff make sense.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like when, like, I feel like I knew that she was going to like supposed to call Mindy, but I feel like it could have been pretty like when Fran's like, you know what you got to do? Like anything could have happened there because they did not build it that well.
Yeah.
Like, she could have like had to go. She could have had to call and get her jacket back and then maybe return it to the store and go to college. I don't know.
She could just get more money from her loaded grandma. You know?
She could have fought Heather for it. Like,
Yeah.
she's already not going to be popular. Like, that would have been so much cooler. She's like, I guess it was my kind of show. Just punch Heather in the face.
Yeah, just like any male centric show about being the new kid at school is, it's like you have to punch the biggest baddest guy at school. You got to take him out. Like she should go do that. Yeah,
That's prison.
Yeah. You know what? You're right. School, prison. There's a pipeline between the two.
Yeah, join us next week when we talk about the school to prison pipeline.
But yeah, so like I said, that's pretty much my final thoughts on this episode. Were just like there were cool things as far as puppetry goes, and it was cool. Like the voice actors they got to join in were fun, and I just felt like writing wise, there were just scenes that lacked any point to me. Like I was like, okay, whatever. Like this could be any show.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
very copy and pasted.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, because it could have just been like, if they did it with like human actors, they could have just had like, you know, a little voice in her ear or something.
Exactly. That's how it would have been.
Yeah.
A thought bubble with like a thing in it or something. A devil and an angel on her shoulder type situation.
Yeah.
Like that's how they would have played it. Or just she would have met a friend who sucked and was like telling her to be mean to her other friends. Probably would have been a way it would have worked.
Exactly.
But it was cool that because of the show it is and the nature of the show, they did get to do some interesting stuff with the visuals, which is always fun.
Yeah. I mean, I think the coolest thing about it is like the coat effect, you know, like the little like living coat, and it's like got this cute little face. It kind of looks like Falcor or something.
Yeah, a little Falcor face. It's terrifying. You know what? I think other sitcoms should have been braver and just done this episode anyway. They could have just had a puppet coat and just gotten away with it if they could figure it out.
Awesome.
I think it's really interesting with their sitcoms that did go to like would just break the barriers of reality for like the point of a joke or something being goofy. Like that's fun to me. I guess Sabrina is a good example of that, but that's built into the show too, which is why it was a fun show.
Yeah, that was a fun show. That was definitely one that I remember watching with my family and stuff when that was on the air. That show's adorable.
Yeah, that's a show where I'm envious of the people creating it because they could just decide to do anything because magic's involved, and I think that's interesting. But with a sitcom budget, like a teen sitcom budget, still, but like
it's pretty
fun.
good budget.
My
Yeah.
favorite episode of Sabrina is when she has to apologize to everyone, and she like conjures up a flan the size of a swimming pool, and everyone gets to eat it. And she's like, "This is what I got you, a wiggly jiggly flan." And like my brother and sister and I still say that if we go somewhere and they have like flan on the menu, we're like, "Oh, wiggly jiggly flan."
That's amazing.
You said just had flan today for a snack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Oh, good, man. I wish I could summon up a flan that size.
Wiggly flan.
Wiggly jiggly flan.
Me too.
Fan.
Thank you for joining us, Aurelia, for this episode. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, totally. And we should hang out sometime because this is the first time we've had a guest that lives near me, which is wild. And we're about to be vaccinated.
I'm almost there. I'll be officially immune in like the beginning of May.
Yeah. I got till 420 and then I'm good to go.
Nice.
Then I'll blaze it.
You could share a blunt with somebody.
Share a blunt with somebody the day I get vaccinated. My catch is I still I babysit kids every Sunday, and kids aren't going to get vaccinated for a while. So it's a sketchy. It's going to be a weird year. There's going to be a lot of like things where we're not really sure what the boundaries are anymore, and it's going to be complicated. And people, I expect a lot of judgmental people for this year, and I won't know which side to be on. So I don't know.
That's real.
We'll see how it goes. But let's do our housekeeping at the end of the episode. Let's say
let's set it up like that. Yeah.
It's housekeeping. We gotta say thank you to Jeremy Hunter from Scotland Network for our theme song.
Yes.
And thank you to Amy Shenanigans for the beautiful portraits of Tim and I that's used for the logo. Sounds like Gemini, and Gemini. And then and thanks to Zach George for editing the podcast for us. Which he does full time now that he quit his job.
He does it for free too.
Full time. I hope that feeds his 2 kids.
our stupidity for 2 hours every day. Yeah.
Every day.
Oh, never mind.
Sounds like a lot of work. I'm not doing a podcast every day.
That's some Adam Carolla shit.
Maybe that's why his podcast is so bad. It's because he has to do it every day.
Yeah. But so our next episode is season 2, episode 23. The leader of...
You can say it. Sorry.
Leader of the pack.
Yeah, which is a Spike-centric episode, so I'm excited. The Christopher Milani episode. And that's the first one written by Kirk Thatcher. Sci-fi guy, Kirk Thatcher. So that's going to be cool. He's the one he designed the characters for the show.
And he wrote the episode. That's pretty...
And it's going to be directed by Rachel Bilson's grandpa. Bruce Bilson.
Bruce Bilson.
Ever since we found out that this guy Bruce Bilson is Rachel Bilson from the OC's grandpa, that's all we refer to him as when he directs the episodes. It's Rachel Bilson's grandpappy. But thanks both of you for joining me.
What? I guess I'm not. I guess I'm not a host anymore.
Yeah, I'm replacing you both next episode.
Is there any place on the internet where people could see some of your work?
There is, we don't film shows as much as we should. But there is, if you look for the Mudlark Public Theater they're on Facebook and then also on YouTube and on Instagram. There's some little clips. I don't think there's an entire thing, but there's a couple. And then when the Mudlark is probably going to be reopening in some capacity. I mean, coronavirus threw a huge wrench into everyone's work. And then I have an Instagram, which is mostly photographs, but if you poke around on there, you can see a couple of puppets that I made. And that is the Wildwood Review, and review is spelled REVUE because I wasn't thinking it through. Yeah, I was fancy and I wasn't thinking it through. So if you poke around on there's a couple of hand puppets I made and some stuff like that. I've just been kind of doing it here and there, so I don't have a really developed presence. But you can definitely find the Mudlark on YouTube.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
That's awesome.
We'll probably
put that
just
in our
like
description.
yeah, we'll put like a note in there so people can check out some of your work because
Okay, cool.
it's definitely cool work that you do, and it's cool to have someone that does this like
Yeah,
on the show.
a puppet perspective is good to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would be it's that you're in good company that we've had 2 puppeteers, you and the executive producer of the Muppets.
When I offered to do this, like ages ago, like when we first got in touch, I don't think you'd interviewed anybody. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm a big get. I'm a puppeteer. And then like, people from the show.
In my opinion, still a big get, so don't worry.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and I appreciated your presence on the episode. It was great.
Oh yeah, thank you. Well, this is the one I remembered the most from my childhood, so I'm really excited I got to talk about it.
That's awesome. I'm glad we haven't had like anyone really like that yet. That's been like, oh, I remember this exact episode from when I was a kid. Like,
yeah, we've had a few people that were just like, "This sucks," and I'm like, "Oh." And then we have to convince them by the end of the episode why it doesn't suck. We're like, no, actually, it's pretty decent. Like,
yeah, that's special. It's the only all puppet sitcom to ever be on television, right? I mean, it's special.
Exactly. They haven't done this technology since the show. That's how crazy it is. So, like, it's cool.
And how expensive it was. Too.
Yeah, it's true. It was very expensive. It was a lot of jackets, a lot of talking jackets went into the show.
At least $500.
Yeah, at least 500. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. And you can find us at A Dinosaur's Tale on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everything else. And then and go to Apple Podcasts and rate, give us 5 stars, because we mostly only me on 5 different accounts have been rating our show, so could use some help. It's not entirely true, but I did do a few.
give us a follow and check us out and let us know if you got vaccinated yet and if you passed out from getting your shot.
Yeah, and if you can prove to me you got vaccinated, I will mail you a donut. I don't know how that works. Krispy Kreme is giving out free donuts every day of the year for people who got vaccinated.
Don't promise that.
Look, I put my phone number at the end of an episode. I can promise whatever I want. I'm getting a new phone number next week at least, so once people start bothering me, I'll be fine. But yeah, we'll see everyone next week. Enjoy your extinction.
Yep. Bye.
Hi.